Hello YouTube. This is finally my 500 plus, however many it is, subscriber special Q&A. Apologies it's taken until now since the question request video. I wanted to give people enough opportunity to see it and submit questions, but also I was trying to get all the necessary bits together for the competition segment, and it's proving more difficult than I imagined it would be. So that might have to be put back, not indefinitely, but put back at least a few weeks. So it's going to happen, and everybody who's left some questions will get themselves an entry. But as it is, it's a special occasion, so I thought I'd get my old whistle on. Yeah, I forgot what I had to say. What was I going to say? Apart from no, it's gone. But thanks to everyone who's commented or submitted questions. I've got more than I thought I would actually, and some good ones. That's what I was going to say. Apologies for the stupid 14-word thing in my head. I thought I'll flip reverse it. I'll play a joke on you. Try and make it. I was being purposefully awkward. Sorry, I was being purposefully awkward, but as it is, it didn't look like anyone had any problems anyway. So it was a bit pointless. But you're lucky, because I was thinking like questions no longer than 7 words, but that would have been ridiculous. People like counting their words out, but I've not counted them. So like I said, it was a bit of a pointless exercise all round. But as it is, got my suit. I'm going to crack on with the first questions. So I'm going to move my screen around so I can so I don't have to keep turning my head. Well, the first questions on the list are from Sneztastic, but I know for a fact that he wasn't the first person to ask questions, but for some reason he's first on the list. Because Liam JGC has said, okay, first, woo. And he wouldn't say that if he wasn't first, but I'll read them out as they come. 5 questions from Sneztastic. My good friend Sneztastic, Pete. And he says, thanks for the questions, mate. What are your thoughts on the Wii U and the PS Vita? Well, to be honest, I've not really been keeping an eye on them. I really try to avoid hype in any way, because invariably I tend to be disappointed. I mean, you can see hype sort of taking effect, and people getting enthusiastic about things, and the amount of things that have been hyped over the years and then turned up and disappointed people. It's quite a high proportion. So I try to avoid the hype and make up my own mind when they actually arrive. Because look at what recent system hasn't turned up without ready-made flaws. I mean, you got the build quality on the 360. Everybody knows about that. The Wii, the first Wii, had multiple, not redesigns, but amendments made to the Wiimote, because obviously it was released and they'd not gone through the full process of designing it and testing it, and then it took people sort of smashing things up when the Wii foot sort of flies out of their hands to design a little wrist cord, and then eventually to encase it in the thing, the rubber thing. and court cases, multiple court cases, I think. But what are your thoughts on the Wii U? For these two, I've seen very little. I've just seen the odd video here and there. The PS Vita looks like they're throwing a load of technology at one thing. They're trying to. I mean, a handheld is only ever going to be a handheld. There's only so much you can do with it. I mean, it's not going to ever be anything other than what it is. And I mean, you can incorporate sort of motion controls and things like that. Extra sort of touch-sensitive technology. I mean, 3D on the 3DS is, in my opinion, is just window dressing. But the touch-sensitive pad on the back of the PS Vita looks a bit. It looks awkward. It doesn't look like they've really understood how it's going to be used. Because to be able to use it, you have to. It doesn't work well with the ergonomics of the ergonomics don't function well if you have to use the touch-sensitive pad on the PS Vita, because you have to hold it in a really odd position. And the Wii U, I mean, how does a Wiimote work if it's got a screen on it and you have to keep an eye on it? Surely the Wiimote is to do with motion capture, or not motion capture, motion sensitive. You can't move it around if you have to keep an eye on it, or are the two functions mutually exclusive? I don't know. I mean, I can't really say too much because, like I said, I've not seen too much of them, like I said, because I try to avoid the hype. But I just want to say, I've realised I've not got a timer. I've not got a timer handy, so I might keep having to flip backwards and forwards to see how long I've been talking. I've got a fair idea that I've been talking quite a while already. I've only done one question, so I'll crack on to Pete's second question. What game are you looking forward to the most this year? Again, I try to avoid hype, but if it's not already there, I'd have to say Radiant Silvergun on the Xbox Live Arcade. Although it would involve me getting an Xbox Live account to be able to take benefit from the, because I don't want to pay out over 100 quid for no, 200 quid for a Japanese Saturn and a copy of the game. But that would be the ultimate aim. But for now, for the cheapos like me, it'll have to be Radiant Silvergun on the Xbox Live Arcade. When you die, third question, when you die, what's the one question... Third question from Pete. When you die, what's the one question you want to ask God if He exists? I have actually looked through these questions, I totally forgot that this one was here, and it's just foxed me. One question would I ask God? I could be funny here, but some things are just pointless. I mean, what's the point in mosquitoes? I don't think the world's ecosystem would crumble if mosquitoes didn't exist. Or famine. What's the point? Child poverty. Katie Price. Why? I'm sorry, a really shit answer, but I'd totally forgotten that it was there, and I was trying to be more off the cuff. But I might have a better think about that. I've got a book upstairs called Conversations with God. It was given to me as a present. Maybe I should have read it before. So apologies about the rubbish answer for that one. Number 4, what's your favourite curse word? Well, I don't actually have a favourite curse word. I just swear naturally as they come to me. I don't. It's not a conscious thing. I just say the words. I can't actually say what my favourite curse word is, but for anybody who likes this sort of thing, some childish humour. There's a really good website, very, very funny website, called rathergood.com. You might recognise the animators. They did the old Crusher milkshake mix ad with the dancing cats, and they've done a whole lot of other stuff besides. But that's basically what their website is. All these funny animations, really sort of childish humour, but really funny, unpretentious with it. And they've got a whole load of these little things on their website where you can. There's one of them is called Buffy Swears, where it's basically a picture of Sarah Michelle Gellar and a diagram of your keyboard, and you load it up and you can press any key on your keyboard and she swears. Sarah Michelle Gellar, or Buffy the Vampire Slayer, swears. So and it's really funny. So check it out. It's rathergood.com for lots of swearing jokes. Number 5, is high definition the biggest con of the 21st century? A lot of the new technology that's sort of touted is a big con. I think high definition took a good. It was something ridiculous, like a good sort of 10-20 years to come into proper use. I think they were developing it for. I think that's just the idea, the story. I think they were developing it for that amount of time, and I think that they're probably developing now super high definition for the same time scale. So another 10-20 years from the beginning of high definition, the advent of high definition, we'll get super high definition. It depends on which format you use it, really. I mean, if it's pointless on a 20-inch telly, isn't it? I mean, if you have it on a big screen, it's not strictly necessary, is it? We're sort of encouraged to adopt it, but then what do you really get out of it? Because certain things don't need to be seen in high definition, do they? I mean, how do we benefit? It changes the language of the medium as well, because I was watching Battlestar Galactica, and I'm sure that was filmed with high definition in mind, because you can see the emphasis they place on some of the shots. There's like lots of close-ups of dripping water, so like a water droplet falling from a leaf and things like that. And so you get all these different, all the directors really hamming it up where the high definition technology is concerned. Now I think 3D is a con as well, because that's just window dressing and unnecessary. The next biggest step, and I'll always say it, is holographic technology. That's when I'll be really impressed. So I wouldn't say it's the biggest con, but just get a smaller telly. Things look better on a smaller telly. So thanks, Pete. That's your 5 questions. I hope they're okay. I've got a feeling I'm not 100% pleased. I'm not 100% pleased with the answers, but yeah, but I'll move on. Sorry about that, mate. So Liam JGC, who was first, but for some reason Sestastic, who is now at the beginning of the list. What piece of gaming history would you have if you were given a choice? Piece of gaming history. I would like. I mean, gaming history could literally be anything, couldn't it? I would like. I was thinking one of those sort of G-Lock arcade machines. You know, the ones where they strap you in and you go upside down. Because I'd have gone one of those once. It was brilliant, and I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And there was an audience outside, and I could hear them go, woo! I'd probably like a sit-down Star Wars arcade cabinet, arcade sit-down machine, the sort of really dark one, because it's iconic, and it sort of conjures up lots of childhood memories. I can remember just sort of it used to eat my 10p's when I was a little nipper. And you get into this sort of really dark, gloomy sort of box, almost like a coffin. And the actual game itself seemed to be quite a way ahead of its time. I know it was all, what's it called? The graphics were all line drawn, but it moves so smoothly. And I remember it really sort of caught my imagination as a little kid. So I think I'd probably like one of those, even though it's a bit, without thinking about it now, it's a bit coffin-like. But so that would be it. It would be an old sit-down arcade cabinet, Star Wars, the arcade game. So, right, Emojo1990. This is a nice one. Have you ever had a hard-on? I hope that's metaphorical. For a video game character, if so, who? Yeah. Metaphorically, of course. I mean, I don't, I don't have to disappear upstairs whenever I've been playing a Street Fighter or anything. Cammy. Same as Aran, which is nice. I'd have to go with Cammy personally. For obvious reasons. Right. The Terite. That's righty with TH on the beginning. Is there any game you regret not picking up on release? Oh, loads of games. I mean, I suppose it'd be a game that would be difficult to get hold of now, and there are plenty. Not so many games that are not necessarily to do with the quality of game, because most top quality games are pretty easy to get hold of. So certain games just disappear off the face of the planet, and it's really frustrating. And then you sort of build them up because you can't find one. You build them up, and then they're only going to be disappointing when you eventually get your hands on one of them. But one game, Tales of Symphonia: Dawn of the New World, I think, is it, or what was that? It's the Tales of Symphonia game on the Wii. It's just pissing me off. It's disappeared, and I can't find a copy. I'd really want one. Game. Actually, to be honest, probably Final Fantasy 9. Final Fantasy 9. I'd go with that because I can remember seeing it in. It was in the last year when I was at university, seeing it in the shops. And just sort of, I'd had the first two, and I never sort of decided to buy it. But then turns out it's actually one of my favourite Final Fantasies. I mean, it's obviously some of my favourite games ever. But it's I just never took the plunge. So I'd have to go Final Fantasy 9 because I've played a lot of it since. Now eventually I've only had it for a few years, so it took me quite a while to actually get hold of a copy. But so I'll have to go Final Fantasy 9 with that one.